Hey everyone, how's it going? Hang on. Okay. I hope everyone's having a great day today. Good start to the weekend. Let me just put this on here. I'm sorry about starting the stream really late today, guys. It won't happen again like this. I was just not feeling good earlier today, but I feel a little better right now, so I'm gonna do the stream now. Yeah, I was just not feeling good earlier. That's just why I didn't start the stream earlier. But I feel a lot better now. I guess you maybe make the argument it is Saturday night at this point, but yeah. Okay. Hey, Eric. Hey, Minion Dave. Yeah, no, I woke up today, with, like, this sharp pain in my left eye. Like, I felt like there was something in my left eye, and it took me, like, most of the day to basically get through it. But I didn't want to start the stream like that today earlier, because it would have just been me twitching my eye most of the stream, and it would have been pretty uncomfortable to do that. And make a Call of Duty Advanced Warfare video. Hey, Mr. Jackson, I could do a playthrough of that game one day, yeah. The campaign was actually pretty decent in that one. Thank you, Mr. Jackson, for the super chat. Hey, Mazor. Hey, Real. Well, thank you, Mr. Go Animator. Also, I'll have the next part of Mafia tomorrow, guys, I promise. Mafia only has 2 more parts left. Can you play story mode? I'll do a playthrough of story mode in the future. I just don't know when, but I'll do it, gamer. But I want to play with my friends on this stream and Reddit Online. I do, Johnny. When will you play GTA Liberty City Stories? When is the anniversary of GTA Liberty City Stories? It's in October, right? It's October? Thank you, Soul Hunter. Good evening to you, Patrick, Professional. How's it going? I'm excited for more lore videos and playthroughs coming up eventually. Thank you, Josh. Thanks, dude. October 24th. Okay. Thank you, Zach. I hope Mafia: The Old Country is good. We need another good game. After Mind's Eye, we need a good game. Hey, GB. My most favorite game, Saints Row 2. No, I won't have time to do playthroughs of the older Battlefield games, but I'll play Battlefield 6. Because I got a lot of, like, I gotta get the Ghost of Yotei, Mafia: The Old Country. I also gotta play through Black Ops 2 before Black Ops 7 comes out.
Just what the hell are you doing here? You better leave or I'll...
Getting a lot better with free aim, guys. Yeah, Ready or Not, a lot of people told me that I would really like the game. Hey, D. When I was 4 years, I used to watch your videos. Oh, what year was that, Brian? making videos on this channel for 8 years, so Battlefield 6 looks good so far. It does. What game, Katos?
What the devil?
Okay. I will play Red Dead Redemption 2 in the future. Yeah, I'll do a playthrough of it. What are the Battlefield games about, since I never played them? Well, the Battlefield games, they're mostly known for their multiplayer, but Battlefield single players are basically like the story of a war. So that's roughly what the stories are. Battlefield 1 was a World War I story. Battlefield 5 was World War II. Battlefield 3 and 4 were modern games, modern war conflicts. So when you think of the story of Battlefield, just think of like another, Modern Warfare like storyline. Think of that. But when it comes to multiplayer in Battlefield is very different than the multiplayer in Call of Duty. You have very large maps, large-scale battles, a lot more players than in Call of Duty, vehicle warfare, tanks, jets, helicopters, destruction. And unlike Call of Duty where you create your own class, in that game there's 4 classes. Recon, which is like a spotter, sharpshooter, sniper. Engineer, destroys tanks, fixes vehicles. Assault, general infantry. And then support, machine gunner, and medic. But the main difference between Battlefield and Call of Duty, it's not the vehicles or the maps or the destruction. The main difference between Call of Duty and Battlefield is that Call of Duty is a individualistic game, where Battlefield is a team-based game. So Call of Duty, you can just be that one guy that carries the team. You can turn the entire match around, just kill everyone. But Battlefield is that game where even if you're a good player, if you have a terrible squad and a terrible team, you will lose every battle. So one guy cannot carry the entire team in Battlefield. You need to work together as a squad. And I would say that's the difference between Battlefield and Call of Duty. I'm not gonna lie, the rising youth obesity in America is getting scary. I'm working that the youth will look like the folks in Wall-E blown up in Pillsbury bodies. Oh, well, I know that the government, not to really get involved in politics, but I know that the government, Sweet Pumpkin, that they are trying to get rid of all of these, dangerous chemicals that are in our food, because food in America is actually more unhealthy than food in Europe, for example, at least in Western Europe. Food in Western Europe has a lot more regulations on, these chemicals that companies can put in, which actually contributes to things like diabetes, obesity, even cancer. But in our country, a lot of those chemicals aren't taken as seriously, and so companies use these chemicals, and the reason they use them is because they make the food cheaper. But it's, in a lot of European countries, they're not allowed to use those chemicals, and so I know that the FDA right now are trying to change things up to make it more like that, but hi, Pro. Hope you are doing amazing. Thank you, Captain Kirk Games. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know what Canadian food laws are like.
It's a nasty business, but a business nonetheless. You got your reward.
Oh yeah, Roman has a horrible gambling problem, Josh. Yeah, I like the Just Cause games. I've played every single Just Cause game except Just Cause 1. I played Just Cause 2, 3, and 4. I'll see you, Mr. Jackson. Thank you for the super chat earlier. And thank you, Sweet Pumpkin and Captain Kirk, for the super chats. I think we should have a Battlefield Korean War and Battlefield Vietnam. Well, they did have Vietnam. They did have that in Battlefield. But what I'll say is that we're not going to get a Korean War Battlefield game. It's not going to happen. But do you know what company I think could do a Korean War game? You know, a company I think could do it? Rebellion, the people that make the Sniper Elite games, I think they could do a Korean War game. I think they could. So I think they would do a good job with it. Loving the Mafia series. Will I redo Mafia 2 of the old country? Hey, Kakal, if I'm reading your name correctly. Thank you for the super chat, dude. Yeah, I'll do Mafia 2 right after I finish the old country. I will, yeah. Oh, okay, so Canadian food laws are more similar to Europe. Okay. Pro, if you have all the resources have right to do the game and Red Dead Redemption Online, you will do what? Oh, well, the first thing I would add is some form of housing. Like, something that, we can build a cabin or a house or buy an apartment in Saint Denis. Like, something like that, like housing. It sucks that we don't ever get housing in this game. Well, in Sniper Elite V2, the main enemies in Sniper Elite V2 are the Soviets. In every single other Sniper Elite game, the enemies are the Germans. But in Sniper Elite V2, the main enemies are the Soviets. But I wish they would have made a Kill Stalin mission similar to how they made all the Kill Hitler missions. But I really wish that the Sniper Elite V2 they would have made a Kill Stalin mission too. That would have been funny, all the different ways to kill Stalin. But maybe if they do like a Korean War game, maybe they'll do like a kill Kim Il Sung mission, the dictator of North Korea, or they might do like a kill Mao Zedong mission. But if they did a kill Mao Zedong mission, then like that would get banned in China so quickly if they did that. Is Sniper Elite V2 more of a Cold War game than a World War II game? Yeah, it's more of a Cold War game. You're not 100% sure Sam knew about the drugs, so stop acting like it. Your intuition isn't perfect. I never said my intuition is perfect, but I feel like Sam did know about the drugs because the way, Sam stands while Polly and Tommy, sit, and then, Salieri says, I told Sam all about this plan. So that's what I'll say about it, is...
Get the hell...
Thanks for putting in work for the growth, Pearl. Thank you, Sweet Pumpkin. Thank you for the super chat. Aw, damn. Oh my god, I shot off his hat. I shot off the guy's hat, but... Damn, I almost had it. Ramirez pre-order Battlefield 6. Thank you, Angelo.
You're as good as dead.
Damn, okay. This guy just doesn't want to get hit. I can't aim the gun all the way down. Oh, out of ammo. Oh. My store had an issue with shoplifters going out the back, so my manager thought it would be a good idea to barricade and block off the back fire exit. He cannot do that, General Alert. It's that if somebody blocks a fire exit, that is pretty much a fine. That is illegal, so you cannot, even if... I know your manager's trying to stop the thieves, but you cannot, block off a fire exit. You can't do that. That would be, I'm pretty sure that's illegal in most places.
You're gonna hate your maker.
That's a safety hazard. What would Salieri have done if he noticed Tommy and Polly saw the drugs? Well, he knew that Tommy and Polly saw the drugs. He knew about it. The reason that he knew about it was because when Polly starts giving him an attitude, like Polly's pissed, he sees that, and then when Tommy says that, do you want us to help you unload the crates, and then Salieri says, Salieri says, no, you don't need to help me, and then Polly says, you sure? And then Salieri says, what did I say? Stuff like that. So if they just knew about the drugs, he would have just said deal with it or something like that. He was expecting that they would just comply. What time do you stream? Oh, it varies. I've been trying to stream earlier. I know I started really late today because I was not feeling good earlier, but... Oh, Salieri, yeah. Salieri was always a bad person. He was not a man of honor. Don't think that. Yeah, Salieri was putting on an act. By the way, guys, when I beat Mafia Definitive Edition, I'm gonna have a poll that I'm gonna ask people. I don't really want to spoil what the poll is gonna be, but it's gonna be a very interesting poll, and I'm really curious what people think, what they think about the question that I'll ask. But I don't want to reveal it because it's we'll wait until the game ends. But it's gonna be a very interesting poll. Just check my polls when right after I finish the last part, and it'll be in 2 days. The last part will be uploaded, and I'll have a pretty interesting poll. It'll be a very philosophical question to answer, about Mafia. How has the fastest gunfire rate? Arthur, Deadeye, or Agent 47 slow movements? Agent 47, all the different guns he has, they're all modern. Yes, it does, Mr. Hopkins. I know they're making a Knights of the Old Republic remake, so I do want to play that. If Enzo's gonna die from Mafia the Old Country, predict he'll die from a car explosion is a big surprise to if ever. Enzo better watch his back. I really hope Enzo doesn't die. I really hope he doesn't, because I'm tired of characters dying in games. It was fine with, the other Mafia games, it worked. But, in Red Dead it worked. But, no more, please. Because it's too, people see it coming. No, I don't want him to die. But here's what I'll say about Enzo. My view on it. I think my theory on Enzo, I think that Enzo is in the other Mafia games. I think he is. That's what I think. What I think is, this is my theory. They take a lot of inspiration from the Godfather movies. I think that Enzo is going to come to America at the end of the game, and I think he's going to change his name when he comes to America, because a lot of immigrants change their name, and he, and remember in The Godfather, Vito Corleone wasn't his real name. He changed it to Vito Corleone when he came to America. He was Vito Andolini before, but he changed it to Corleone, named after the town. So, that's a big hint. If you see, a town in the game that is named after the last name of one of the characters, keep that in mind if you see that. If you see a town named after one of the characters, like a town called Salieri, or a town called Vinci, or Galante, or something like that, Just keep that in mind. That's what they might do. They might take the Godfather route, and I think that he is going to change his name. Now, I think that Enzo is one of three possible characters. Here's what I think. I think he's either Salieri, but I don't think it'll be Salieri because a lot of people hate Salieri, like they really hate him. So I don't think they'll make him Salieri because it's like a lot of gamers really hate him. I think that he's probably either Salieri, Leo Galante, or Frank Vinci. That's what I think. I think Enzo is either Frank Vinci, Leo Galante, or Salieri. That's what I think. Can we not spoil it? I haven't finished Mafia. Well, I'm not really discussing spoilers here. I'm just saying that they might follow the Godfather route. Also about Enzo, I hope that they don't make Enzo like a really you know, a goody two shoes. I hope they make him a little bit more ruthless. What? Let me ask you guys, which Mafia character main protagonist do you think is the most ruthless, like the most cold blooded? Like which character do you think it's Tommy, Vito, or Lincoln? Tommy, Vito, or Lincoln? Who do you think is like the most cold blooded you know, character? Most people are saying it's Lincoln. Yeah, I would probably say it's gotta be Lincoln or Vito. Tommy has more of a conscience. You know, the thing about Vito is, was there ever a time in the game where Vito had a conscience? I don't think Vito really ever had a conscience. I don't think Vito ever thought about something was wrong, like in the story. The only time that I saw that I remember in Mafia 2 where like Vito had a little bit of a conscience is in it was the drugs. Like when Henry wanted to go into the drug deal, and Vito said like Don Vinci was right. Like drugs are bad; they kill people. Like when he said that, I think that's the only time that Vito ever had like a little bit of a conscience. But most of the time, like Vito did not have a conscience. Like Vito didn't care when they killed the guy, like you know, the fat guy. Like they killed him, and he was begging, saying as a family, Vito didn't care. So it's like that's what I'll say is that Vito was a pretty cold character. A lot of people don't realize that he was a pretty cold guy. And you also have to remember something about Vito is Derek was abusing the dock workers, and Vito did not care at all. Like Vito did not give a crap at all. The only time he cared is when he found out, you know, what Derek did, you know, did to one of his family members. I don't want to spoil it because somebody said that they're still playing Mafia. But that's what I say is that Vito really didn't care up until that point about all the things that Derek was doing to the dock workers. Like he didn't care. In Mafia, which crime family would you join and why? In the Mafia series, I wouldn't join a Mafia, but if I had to choose which Mafia family to be in, the Mafia family I would choose would be the Vinci family from Mafia 2, because they seem like they're the least worst out of all of them. Like, they don't do evil things like Falcone or Clementi. Why did they change from the diamonds to the drugs in Mafia 2 to show that Salieri was a bad person? Oh, thank you, somebody32. $50 donation. Largest donation today. Thanks, man. Thank you, dude. I recently have learned I will be the only person working in the cigar store I work at starting next week with my manager leaves. I don't know what to do at this point. It's a retail job, and I don't make a lot currently. What would be your advice? Like, well, when somebody32, can I ask you a few more questions about this situation? You don't have to super chat me again. I'll answer your comments. Just leave another comment. But do they, like, when you say that you're the only person in the store, does that mean that they expect you to be manager now? Like, they expect you to run the store and, like, count the money and open the store and close the store? Like, do they expect you to do that? Like, is that what you're expected to do now? So you have more responsibilities. Okay, so you do. Let me ask you the next question now. Did you get a pay increase for these extra responsibilities? Like, did you get a pay increase for this? Like, now you're the only guy working in a store. Did you get a pay increase? He reads when he gets a payout? No, it's not true. I've read so many comments on this stream that did not super chat me. I read super chat comments first because people donated, but I will eventually read everyone's comments. Did you get a raise for these extra responsibilities? Who is the most evil villain in the Mafia games? In the Mafia series, the most evil character, the most evil character in the Mafia series. The most evil do you know who I think is going to be the most evil character in the Mafia series? I think the most evil character in the Mafia series is probably going to be Don Teresi, the new boss in the Mafia the Old Country. I think he'll probably be the worst one. But before Mafia the Old Country, I think the most evil character, I think you guys would probably agree with me, I think the most evil character is probably Sal Marcano. I think Marcano, because of just betraying Lincoln's, family, just killing everybody like that. I think Marcano, just over money. I think probably Marcano. Yeah, probably Marcano would be probably the worst one in the series, most evil guy. Oh, thank you, Snowy Imp. Thank you for sponsoring my channel. Thank you, dude. And I just have a stuffy nose today also. Sorry, everyone. I've been told by my manager that I get a $2 to $3 increase when he leaves. I currently make $11 an hour. I don't know when my pay will change. Ask about it. There's no shame in asking. Don't feel like embarrassed to ask about that. It's your pay. You're working for them. You have a right to ask about pay. Ask them. Now let me ask you the next question. Are you dependent on this job, like to support yourself, or do you live with your family? Like, do you live with your family, and if you, let's say that you lost this job, right? Would that be really bad, or could you still live with your family? Because that's really important when deciding whether to quit a job or not. That is Are you aware of this whole YouTube AI age verification thing that is going around? I heard about it, but isn't that happening in the UK, in Britain, right? It's not really happening in America, is it? Am I right? Can you turn up the game audio? A little bit, sure. I can make it. Okay, there, made it a little louder. Is there a new Mafia video coming out today? No, tomorrow. How are they gonna verify your age on YouTube? Are you, thank you, TV Bunny, for the super chat. But it's the first time I'm hearing about this age verification thing on YouTube. Thank you, CT2005. Don Clementi was a pretty bad guy, too. Your photo ID? What? That's not YouTube's business. They don't need my ID. No, Reddit Online didn't shut down. I live with my father, but I feel I need the job as the job opportunities where I live are very slim. As I live in a very rural area here in the States, it might take me weeks to get another job. I fully understand that, Somebody32. Here's my advice to you, Somebody32. This is my advice. If you're the only guy left in this store, and there's not even a manager, and you're expected to do all the manager's tasks, you're expected to run all these responsibilities, there has to be an owner, or somebody that you can contact. Somebody that they might not be at the store, but they own the store, that the guy who controls your pay. I would tell him, just explain this. Say, we're understaffed right now. I've been a hard worker, I've done my job really good, and now you expect me to do extra responsibilities. I don't really have a problem with the extra responsibilities, but if I'm going to getting the extra responsibilities, I expect fair compensation. If you expect me to act like a manager, I expect a manager's wage. You can say you don't have a manager anymore, so I can take over. And if you feel you can do those responsibilities, do it. If you feel like it's, you know, like it's too much, then I would just start looking for another job at that point. But don't quit the job right away, just so you can support yourself at that time. But that's what I would basically say to the owner is like, you know, hey, you know, sir, ma'am, you know, I've done a good job at your store. You know, I helped your cigar store. I'm really good at customer service. I'm really good at my job. But now that the manager quit, I'm also acting as a manager, and I'm, you know, have to count the money. I have to open and close the store. I'm responsible for a lot of stuff in this store, and I expect, you know, to be compensated fairly as a manager if I'm taking on the role of a manager. And that's not, you know, bad to ask. It's not a wrong thing to ask. And you have to also think about this. You're the only employee they have. So if you're gone, that store is going to shut down too. So you have the advantage here. Just think about that too. You know, they're going to need somebody to find to run to, you know, to hire. And if you just quit right now, they're not going to have anybody at that store. So they need you. I'm not saying to, like, you know, be greedy or anything like that, but just know that you have the advantage here. You know, the ball is in your favor. So that's what I would basically say to the manager. And if the manager refuses to give you a raise, if they say, you know, no, we can't do that, or we can't, they might give you some BS. They might say, oh, we can't afford that right now. If they give you some BS like that, don't even argue with them. Just basically just start looking for a new job. Just put in, like, you know, start putting in job applications. Keep working there so you can still keep making money while you're looking for another job. But start, like, you know, putting in job applications other places. And when you find a new job, you don't even have to give them 2 weeks notice at that point. It's up to you if you want to. But that's basically what I would say is that, you know, talk to the manager. If you're the only guy in the store, everybody else quit, they need you. Because then without you, the store will fall apart. And so, like I said, the ball is in your favor. Ask for that raise. Say, I have more responsibilities. I'm the only person working in the store. That's what I would say to the manager. It's not about being greedy. It's about, you know, you getting more work. You deserve more money. Nice hat, thank you. I got you, bro. Thank you for the advice. I'll let you know in a couple weeks' time, and I plan to be very nice about it to the owner, and hopefully it can go well. If not, I'll start looking for a new job. I really appreciate your help. Well, thank you. Thank you also for the kind words, somebody32. Let me know how it goes. GTA Online launch was horrible with the servers, and it's much more popular. So do you think GTA 6 Online servers will survive? I think that GTA 6 Online servers are going to be a disaster. Like, right when the game launches, Jamie, I think it's going to be a total disaster. That's what I think. I think it'll fall apart. I think it'll be, you know, terrible. I think I don't think it's going to be, like, down for, like, a month, but I think the first week there's going to be tons of internet problems. Oh, thank you, Bunny. Crazy that CTOS in real life is here, all the age verification and stuff. Oh, yeah, you are right. Thank you for supporting my channel for nearly 4 years. Thank you, Bunny. Thank you, dude. But yeah, you're right. It is CTOS in real life when you think about it.
Strong stomach, bounty hunter. Ugh, I wouldn't touch this turd. Enjoy.
Pro, is your hair naturally short, or do you keep it short? I could have longer hair if I want to, but I usually keep my hair very short. Here's the weird thing about me. Whenever I play, like, any kind of game, usually I like to have my character with long hair. You know, usually in games, I like my character with long hair, but in real life, I actually hate long hair. So I just cannot stand it. You look good with short hair. Thank you. Is flipping houses in the ghetto for 1.2 million worth it? What? You mean like buying and flipping houses? Don't do that. Don't do that because the look, here's what I'll say about it. If you want to get into real estate, do rentals. Don't do flipping homes. Don't do it. I would rent out homes instead. And the reason a lot of people like to flip homes because it makes more money than renting homes. But the thing is, if you're renting a house, you at least have steady income. You know the income is coming in, and generally most people pay on time. So you know you have like a steady flow of income. If you're flipping houses, something could always go wrong if you're flipping houses. You could buy a house, and there could be something completely wrong with it that your inspector might have missed. So, like, that, and also, you have to count on the fact that some people might not be buying homes. So you might have, like, a house that's sitting for some time. I'll tell you guys something. Here in the Midwest, you know, where, here in the Midwest, where I'm at visiting family right now, but where I moved in the Midwest, in the upper Midwest. A lot of times I look at the housing market, I look at houses like in my town, you know, see, you know, what the prices are like, what they are. I own 2 rentals, I own 2 4-bedroom houses that I rent out, and they're both built in 2012. And there is this, like, really nice house, like, it's like a really, really beautiful house, and, like, we're talking like a mansion, like, this is, like, basically like a house for rich people. This house is, like, you know, $800,000, which, you know, places like New York, for example, it's normal prices for, like, an $800,000 house. That's, like, the normal house price in New York. But, like, in the upper Midwest, that house is, like, basically like a mansion. Like, that's, like, a few acres of land. It's massive. It's giant. Like, it has, like, 5 bedrooms. It's a very beautiful house. You know, fireplace, long wooden staircase. You know, the curly staircase. You know, I don't know what it's called. But anyways, about this house. I wasn't looking at this house to buy it. I was just looking at this house because I was just curious about it. And guess what? That house has been on the market for 2 years. For 2 years, nobody has purchased that house. Nobody wants to buy a giant house like that here. So, like, that house has been on the market. But when it comes to, like, 4-bedroom homes, that, like, you know, 4-bedroom homes that are priced at, like, $300,000, $400,000 each, the $300,000, $400,000 homes, those sell in a week. Like, they sell really quick in the Midwest. But, like, those really big houses that are, like, $800,000, those be up for, like, years. Like, nobody will buy them. I read as many comments as I can and all. But that's basically what I'm getting at with flipping houses. You said that you want to flip a house for $1 million. You said what you said you wanted to do. Don't do it, because I'm telling you, you're gonna financially ruin yourself by doing that. That's basically my point to you. Because there's a house for $800,000 that I've seen for 2 years spin up. You want to buy a house for, you know, close to $1 million and flip the house? You're taking a giant risk. Massive, massive risk with that. And you could have that house sitting on you for years. Nobody will buy it and you'll lose a lot of money. Don't do it. When Vesuvius erupted, did people in Pompeii act like those on the Titanic? They didn't think it was that serious at first, and all hell broke loose later on, everything got worse. Yeah. They didn't, a lot of people didn't, when the people did not think that the lava would actually come to the town. And the thing is, when that happened, people were saying that it was like a biblical event. Like, that's what a lot of people were saying at the time. They believed that it was like a religious thing from like the gods and stuff like that. That the Roman gods were pissed. We know today it was the volcano, but. Thank you, U20, for the super chat. I'm losing sight in my left eye. Should I say something to my parents? Definitely, yes. That's concerning, yes. Tell your parents. I'm physically incapable of growing long hair. The best I get is a bush of hair. It doesn't move from the top of my head. Well, thank you, Cayman, for the super chat. What's that, Menace? Thank you, Demigod, for sponsoring the channel. My favorite pizza spot back in New York. There was this small local restaurant that I went to when I was a kid, but it closed a long time ago. Do mafias get involved in heist? Oh, of course. The most expensive house in my city just sold for 45 million. Granted, it's on the inner coast. But here, I will tell you something. Even if I was a billionaire, right? Even if I had, like, you know, that much money, I would never buy a house for $45 million ever. No, I don't care. Even if I was the richest man in the world, I wouldn't. The reason I wouldn't is because I would see it as a waste of money. It's like, I don't need a giant house like that. I don't need that much, like, spending. Even if I had the money to buy it, I wouldn't. Like, sometimes I don't understand these rich people. Like, you know, these giant properties that they're buying. Maybe I want to buy, like, a mansion one day for myself. Maybe one day. But if I'm going to buy, like, a mansion one day, it's going to probably be, like, a decade from now. But if I ever do it, it's going to be, like, you know, it'll be a nice, decently large house, but it's not going to be something that's $45 million. Definitely not that. And I don't think I'll even make $45 million in my lifetime. So it's no. It'll probably be maybe, like, a little bit under $1 million. But not, like, you know, something like that. That's just stupid. Like, you know, buying a house that much, and also the property tax. Think about the property tax in a house like that. That's disgusting. The property tax on that would be disgusting. Like, on a $45 million house, that'd be disgusting. Probably be, it depends on the state, but I can imagine, like, yeah. Probably more than $20,000 a month in property taxes. Oh yeah, property tax should not exist. I agree with you. Hey Pro, hope you're doing well, and keep up the good work. Not gonna lie, the excitement is killing me. We're 1 week away from the old country. I really hope it's good. Really, really hope it, because after Mind's Eye, I'm pissed. I want to play a good open world crime game, but I think I'm scared about, you know, Mind's Eye. Or not Mind's Eye, Mafia, the old country.
Get out right now. What business?
Flipping properties was Kendall's idea in San Fierro, where what all the properties did, they actually flip. They didn't flip anything. I don't think she wanted to actually flip them. She wanted to turn it into a business.
I hope you're making your peace.
But yeah, Kendall is definitely the smartest character in Grove Street in San Andreas. The smartest character in Grove Street in GTA 5 is Franklin. I don't know if you really count Franklin as a Grove Street member. He's basically like an on and off again member. But like, imagine Ryder trying to run a business. Like imagine that. Like that business would fall apart so quickly. Like Ryder would not know what he's doing. Ryder would be an idiot. I think Sweet could probably run a business fine, but like Ryder would just be a disaster. Like Ryder, yeah, Big Smoke and Sweet could definitely run a business, but Ryder would not be able to run a business. He'd be a complete idiot. He wouldn't know what he's doing.
Oh shit! No, please, no!
God help me.
God, please help me!
Oh hey, Shiny Knight, thank you for sponsoring my channel. Thanks, dude.
You slow in the head, mister.
Well, all of the GTA characters are scumbags. All of them are. Every single GTA character. Even Vic Vance is a scumbag. So, like, every one of the GTA characters is a scumbag. But some characters are worse than others.
Oh, shit.
Ryder is a ninja genius. If it were a Sherm-related business, he'd do okay.
Slow in the head, mister.
Oh, Ryder was always... Yeah, Ryder was in league with Smoke for a long time.
Yeah! Hey, let me go!
Somebody do something! Well, I'll be. Take that!
Please, Lord! Somebody help!
Who is the dumbest character you've seen in a crime game? That's a tough one. When I watch flipping houses on HDTV, the flippers take out a massive bank loan to fund their flip operation. Oh no. Yeah, no. No. When you were talking about flipping houses, I thought you were talking about flipping with your own money, but no, if you're gonna take out a bank loan, that's even worse. No. The only time I would say would be okay to buy a house with a bank loan is if you're gonna live in it. But, you know, if you're flipping houses, don't do it with a bank loan, because now your risk is even worse. Yeah, something could go wrong, and now you're indebted to the bank. That's how a lot of people lost all their money in 2008 with the housing crisis. They kept buying more houses, taking out more loans, and then they couldn't flip them, and they lost all their money.
No, please!
The most dangerous Rockstar villain, that's easy, Dimitri. Yeah, Dimitri's even worse than Big Smoke. I would say, yeah, he's worse than Big Smoke. Big Smoke at least had a little bit of a conscience. He did at least, you know, think about what he was doing was wrong. But Dimitri has no conscience. Like, the thing about Dimitri is such an evil character. Like, he is such an evil person, such a horrible person, that I wouldn't be surprised if he basically is like a demon in human form. That's how evil Dimitri is. Like, Dimitri is just pure evil. Like, pure evil. Like, there is nothing good about him. Nothing good whatsoever. There's not even 1% of good in him. Nothing. It's like he has no soul. He is such an evil character. Also, I actually did a poll, 2 years ago, I actually did a poll asking people who is the most evil Rockstar villain, and I did it between Micah and Dimitri, and 70% of people said that Dimitri is worse than Micah. 70%. Like, 30% said that Micah's worse than Dimitri, but 70% said that Dimitri was worse. Do you guys agree with that? Do you guys think that Dimitri is worse than Micah, or do you think Micah is worse than Dimitri? I mean, it's really hard to decide, because they're both horrible,
What in blazes?
Look who it is, and kicking the boot. Put him in the cell, won't you? There's your piece of silver.
Yeah, I think I agree with you guys. I think that Dimitri is even worse than Micah. I think so too. Oh, Claude is evil. Yeah, Claude is. Oh, RF, I'm sorry, I'm RF, I apologize, I didn't see your super chat earlier. Thanks for the Mafia series. I wish you had time to do a Mafia 2 and Mafia 3 well before this one comes out. Is Mafia 2 and 3 story related to the old country? I think it will be. There's definitely going to be a connection. There already is. The beginning of Mafia 2 takes place in the same city that's in Mafia, the old country. Because you see the exact same building in the World War II mission, the exact same building that's in the old country. But I will do Mafia 2 after Mafia the Old Country. Thank you, RF, for the super chat. Hey, bro, it's my birthday next week. I'm turning 28, and I'm still trying to figure things out in life. Lots of things ahead. Lots of growing to do. Oh, well, I wish you luck, I wish you luck, Jonathan. Happy birthday, Jonathan. And everyone wish Jonathan a happy early birthday there. Oh, Makarov is worse than Dimitri. I will agree with you. When will I make another, in real life video? Later this month, near the end of this month. Thank you, Feline King. Thank you, Bakken. Why haven't Mafias gotten involved in other big businesses like oil fracking out west? because all the oil companies have already gotten involved in it. There is that one show, that one TV show. It's a new TV show. Somebody tell me the name of the show. I have to still watch it, but it's like it's about like an oil company in Texas. I forget it, and like they have connections to the cartel. Anyone know the TV show I'm talking about? It's a new one. That one, like, it shows oil companies are involved with organized crime. It does happen. Landman, yeah, Landman. That's the
Yeah, yeah. You got. Help me!
You needed help with your moonshine, right? Let's do it. Man, that's stuffy now today. What is a thing that Luis messed up on? Working with Bulgarin, that's the thing that he messed up on. Oh, it's not ready? Okay, let me go back to my posse. Who's worse, Fidel Castro or Daniel Ortega? Probably Castro, but Ortega's a pretty bad person, too. Ortega had his brother executed. You have to think about that, too. He had his own brother killed. So that's, you know, they're both, Castro and Ortega are both terrible dictators. You know, the thing, do you think Fidel Castro is an evil or a bad person? I think he's a bad person. The thing about Fidel Castro is that Fidel Castro seemed like he was a man of the people when he was younger. The thing about Castro is Castro overthrew a real dictator in Cuba. His name was Fulgencio Batista. He worked with the Italian Mafia also. The Mafia opened up casinos in Cuba. There was a lot of corruption going on. Cuba was in absolute poverty. If Castro had turned Cuba into a flourishing democracy and got rid of the corruption in Cuba, you know, he would have gone down as a great leader. But instead, what he did was he turned Cuba into a communist dictatorship. He thought communism was the way instead of, you know, a democracy, and Cuba became a disaster. And now Cuba today is like one of the poorest countries in the world. You mentioned National Socialism. I've always seen it as a mix of left and right-wing ideas. It's not easy to label. Thank you, Tim Gladiator. Thank you for the super chat. Thanks, dude. You're talking about my last part of Mafia, when I read the newspaper about Hitler. Yes, the full name of the Nazis. Nazi is just short for National Socialist German Workers' Party. That's what it's short for. A lot of people don't know that it's called National Socialist, you know, German Workers' Party. Now, here's the thing. The Nazis were not a left-wing party. It was very much a far-right party, but it was not a pro-capitalist party. The Nazis were a socialist party. They were, but socialists aren't always left-wing. You know, a lot of ultra-nationalists have very, like, socialist views when it comes to the economy. Nazi Germany's economy was very socialist in nature. Their economy was very tightly controlled. So Nazi Germany's economy was socialist, but their social policy itself was like extreme far right wing, you know, ultra nationalism. So the best way for me to describe what Nazism is what Nazism basically is if you mix, you know, like far left socialism and like white supremacy, you know, together into like one. That's basically what Nazism is. It's like, you know, far left socialism mixed with white supremacy. That's pretty much what it is. I'm from Nicaragua, and I never knew he got his brother killed. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, it is true. Ortega did have his brother killed, and the reason he had his brother killed was because his brother spoke out against him and his dictatorship. I talked about that in my Black Ops video. The Nazis had Arctic missions, like they sent people to Antarctica, but they didn't really have like any bases there. But yeah, what I will say also is, when it comes to World War II, like I have heard people make some, you know, false statements. Like, for example, people have said that like the Nazi Party was like a free market pro-capitalist party. That is not true. The Nazis despised capitalism. They hated communism more than capitalism. That is true, but they were not fans of capitalism either. It was a very much a controlled economy. It wasn't like a totally, you know, a total government-controlled economy like the Soviet Union, but it was still a government-run economy. That's what it was. It was not a free market system by any means. Like, there was a, remember on my last Mafia part, I showed, like, a propaganda poster that the Nazis made, and in the propaganda poster, they showed a capitalist and a communist holding hands, and and then the Nazi propaganda poster said the communists and the capitalists are working against Germany. That's what it was like, the propaganda poster. So the Nazis were not a pro-capitalist party. People think it was like a pro-free market party. It was not. It's a very much a controlled economy. They made the businesses benefit the government, so the businesses were meant to benefit the government. Manal, you don't have to donate to me for me to read your comment. I read any comment, as many comments as I can. Did you know that Daniel Ortega sexually abused his eldest daughter when she was only 12, and his wife knew about it? What? I never knew about that. I knew he had his brother killed when he became dictator, but I never knew about that. That's disgusting and horrible. Do I consider monarchs dictators? In a way. It depends on the type of monarch. Ortega is a dictator of Nicaragua. Nicaragua is a dictatorship. Do you think that Polly was a better friend to Tommy than Sam? Oh yeah, 100%. Polly was a much better friend than Tom. Well, Dean O'Banion found out what happens when you push someone's buttons too much. You know, he pushed Torio's buttons too much and he paid the price for it. Later today, I'll have the bank robbery mission. It depends on the monarchy. It depends on the type of system that they have. There are constitutional monarchies. So a constitutional monarchy, you can't really make an argument it's a dictatorship, but an absolute monarchy, you can. Like Imperion, I don't know if you've watched my playthrough of the Great Ace Attorney, no, not the Great Ace Attorney, Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. But Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy, there's a fictional country in that game called Karain, and Karain is an absolute monarchy, and it's a brutal dictatorship. So like that's a perfect example of a monarchy being a dictatorship. Like the queen, who's extremely brutal in the country, she has like a secret police that rounds up people, you know, has them arrested and killed. So like that's a perfect example of like a monarchy that's a dictatorship. The reason that people think dictators and monarchs are different is because monarchies are typically like a specific royal family, where dictators are like generals a lot of times that come to power through coups. But Well, the secret police in Apollo Justice are based on the Chinese secret police. So like the Korean Queen, because it's an Asian country, but it's supposed to be based off Tibet. That's what it's based off. But like the secret police in the game, they're based on the Chinese secret police. But here's the thing: is the secret police in that game, they carry around STG-44s, which is like really weird. So like they carry around the Nazi assault rifle. But that's like what the secret. But even though it's a game that's set in modern times, but that's what the secret police use as their weapon in. I think that's a little bit of symbolism. I think the developers did it on purpose that the secret police use STG-44s. But I remember that in the game too. But yeah, the queen of Corleone, she's the final antagonist in the Great Ace Attorney series. Did you know that you can't leave your jobs in the USSR without being punished by the state? That's true. You can't strike. It was illegal to strike in the Soviet Union. It was also illegal to form a union. You could not form a union. That was true. So much for workers' paradise. I am Jigme. I come from Tibet and I want to defeat the Chinese oppressors in Kickball. I remember that one. That episode of Boondocks. That was hilarious. I remember that too. It's some random guy from Tibet that just joins their kickball team just because he wants to defeat China. It was that was a funny episode. Well, I will tell you something. I will tell you something. For example, answering your question there, Prati. For example, Americans and Europeans. Americans and Europeans, when it comes to like things like hate speech, Americans and Europeans see them differently. Like the way a lot of Europeans culturally see hate speech is they see it that it should be criminalized and people should be fined or arrested for it. In America, the way that we see hate speech is the best way to defeat hate speech is through speech and debate. That's the best way. It's like debate the person, have an argument with them, prove them wrong, make them look stupid. Like the American idea is like that. You get into a discussion with them, a debate, and you make the person spreading hate look stupid. You defeat hate speech through free speech. But the European way that they look at it is they look at it that you have to, arrest the person and fine the person. My personal viewpoint on it is I think that by criminalizing hate speech, I have two problems with that. The first problem I have with it is that who defines what's hate speech? Because here's the thing is, there's definitely hate speech. Like, there's definitely people that say, hateful and racist things. I'm not denying that. But when the government decides what hate speech is, the government could, like, say, for example, criticizing the government or calling the president an idiot is hate speech. And then they could arrest you or fine you for that. So, like, who sets that bar? Who decides exactly what hate speech is? Because it can be abused. It could basically be abused to remove anyone, like, arrest anybody that criticizes the government. And the second thing is, think about it this way. If you have somebody that's racist, right? They have racist views, and you arrest them for something like hate speech. You put them in jail. Is that really going to change their view? Like, is that person really going to stop being racist if you arrest somebody for being racist? Like, are they really going to stop being racist if you put them in jail? They're not going to. In fact, it's going to get worse. They're going to become even more racist because now they're going to hate the government even more for putting them in prison. And what's going to happen is those racist people are going to be put in prison with other people who made racist comments, and they're going to be exposed to other people in prison, and then they're going to become more extreme and then join these extremist groups, and it's going to get worse. And they're gonna fall more in that ideology, and then you basically created a bunch of Nazis by trying to arrest people for hate speech. That's basically what ends up happening. So you arrest people for hate speech, you put them in prison, and then these people get put in prison with like even more extreme people, and their views become even more extreme, even more racist, and then basically they turn into like these far right Nazis. That's basically it. So. And I will tell you something. If you look at the countries, that have like these far right groups, a lot of times it's countries that have that situation where people are arrested for hate speech. But yet the far right has not fallen in popularity. So it's having an it's backfiring basically. That's what it. The only speech that should be criminalized is threats. Well, threats are not considered free speech because you're threatening to kill somebody. You know, threats are criminalized, but.
God damn it.
And wait, what do you mean? What's your question, Zach? Do you drink any energy drinks? I had one energy drink earlier that my mom brought. She brought a pack of them from work. I don't even remember the brand. It's like, I had the energy drink, and when I had it, it woke me up. But what happens is, like, I feel like my stomach is moving for hours. It's not like I feel sick. It's not like I feel dizzy. But like I feel like my stomach is moving around. Like I don't know how to explain it. It's not making me nauseous, but it's like I feel this constant movement in my stomach. Why was the last donation ignored? I didn't. Did I? Oh. Well, Mario, I'm not really gonna get into politics. Thank you for the super chat. Well, Eastern Europe has like a really bad Eastern Europe has like a really bad neo-Nazi problem. Like it's a massive problem in Eastern Europe. It's Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia are the countries they have like the most amount of neo-Nazis in Europe, and it's a massive problem in those countries. But what I will say about that is neo-Nazis are already stupid, but somebody from Eastern Europe, like a Slav, that is a neo-Nazi, is probably like one of the dumbest people on the planet ever. Because the Nazis believed that Slavs were inferior. They believed that people from Eastern Europe were inferior. Like, the Nazis thought that Germanic people, like, you know, people from Germany, France, Britain, they thought people like that were, they believed that they were the superior race. And they thought that Slavs were like a barbaric people that were inferior to them. And the Nazis planned on genociding the Slavs. They planned on killing all of them and basically force deporting the rest of them past the Ural Mountains and settling their land with Germans. And so, like, the fact that, like, somebody from Eastern Europe, like a Russian or Ukrainian or Belarusian or even, like, a Pole could be, like, a neo-Nazi is, like, one of the stupidest things that I've heard about. It's like they're following an ideology that basically calls for their genocide. It's, like, one of the, you know, stupidest things I've ever heard about. Like, those people are just such idiots. Oh yeah, the Warsaw was completely destroyed in 1945. Do you think that heavy metal music is satanic? No. There are like some bands that have like satanic themes to them, but like most heavy metal is not like that, and it's no. That's not true. Are Bulgarians and Yugoslavians Slavic people? Yes. Oh yeah, I will, Mr. Hopkins, but I would have to beat Dead Rising 2 first. Yes, August 1st, the Warsaw Uprising happened. It was, it's one of the saddest moments in Polish history. Over 200,000 people died in the Warsaw Uprising, and then the city was completely destroyed. And the thing is, the city was destroyed after the Warsaw Uprising happened. So like the thing is, a lot of cities got destroyed in World War II, but the destruction of Warsaw was different, because it was intentionally destroying a civilian city when there was no fighters inside of it. Like afterwards, when the fighting had ended and the resistance had surrendered, like Hitler was just so angry he ordered the entire city of Warsaw destroyed, like the whole city to be destroyed, and that is that was like one of the worst war crimes of World War II. Nazi units went door to door with flamethrowers and just burned people alive in their homes. It was horrible.
You fool bastard.
Do you think there's any good in Palpatine, even if it's very small? I don't think so. Like, I cannot think of anything good that he did. There is one good thing that I can think that Palpatine did do in it's in the Star Wars lore. It's not really in the it's not really in it's not really part of the movies, but one of the things that Palpatine did do that did help is a lot of poorer planets. When the Empire came to those poorer planets, the Empire built like massive facilities that put hundreds of thousands of people in work. They gave them jobs in a lot of those planets. So and a lot of those people, they hated the rebellion because they felt like the rebellion was gonna causing problems for their planets. That's really the only thing that I can think of.
God damn it.
When Germany invaded Belgium, Britain got involved in the war, but Britain probably would have eventually gotten
As
involved
long
in
as one's
war.
still breathing, I still
Stalingrad
count on
destruction, Arnhem destruction. Yeah, those cities had been destroyed during World War II. That's true. But the point that I was getting at is that Warsaw's destruction was different than both Arnhem's and Stalingrad's disastrous battles. The reason for that is because Warsaw was destroyed when there was no battle going on. It was just civilians. So like the battle had already ended, the resistance had surrendered, and the resistance had surrendered in October 1944. Hitler ordered the entire city to be destroyed in mid-October. So like the fighting had already ended, and the entire civilian city had been destroyed as like revenge for like the uprising. So like an entire civilian area had been bombed, burned down, destroyed. There was no fighting left. Stalingrad was like a city where there was like fighting between the Soviets and the Germans, for half a year. And then Arnhem was a battle between British and Polish paratroopers and the Germans. And so like a lot of street house-to-house fighting. But like Warsaw destruction was different because it was like an entire civilian city that was destroyed with no fighting. General, you gonna form your posse? I'll join and help you with the moonshine. The point that I was getting at, Loof, is that cities like Stalingrad and Arnhem were destroyed because of fighting, the two sides fighting each other. But Warsaw was destroyed because intentionally, when there was no fighting left, it was just targeting a civilian area. The Nazis were just targeting it and destroying it. What was Hitler's downfall in World War II? His ego. Thinking that he was smarter than everybody, thinking that he couldn't fail, thinking that he was like a god, thinking he could do whatever he wanted. Also, what was it, the thing about the Nazis is that the Nazis understood only brutality. Like there was no such thing as like compassion, nothing like that. Compassion, they did not understand that. It was like an alien word to them. It was just brutality. That's all it was for them. Like if for example a Polish resistance fighter killed like a German soldier, what the Germans would do is they would round up 100 random Polish people and just publicly execute them. It was mass execution. So like it was like the life of like one German was equal to the life of like 100 Poles, and they would post signs about this saying that 100 civilians have been executed for because a resistance fighter killed like a German soldier. And the thing is, the Nazis believed that through brutality, that just being brutal, it would scare people and people would not fight back, but all it did was just make people more and more angry. And like people were not putting up with the brutality anymore. Like, what's it called? In Eastern Europe and Central Asia, there were so many groups that hated Stalin. Like, Stalin was such a hated person. Like, you know, Ukrainians hated Stalin, the Belarusians hated Stalin, the Baltic people hated Stalin, you know, Central Asians hated Stalin, you know, the Azeris hated Stalin, Georgians hated Stalin, Armenians hated, you know, Stalin. And what the Nazis did was, when they invaded, like, Eastern Europe, those people, they could have allied with them. But instead of doing that, they just started genociding them. They just started just mass murdering them. They called them inferior races and just started genociding them. And then those people went back to Stalin. And so that's basically sees that the Nazis only understood brutality, and it backfired on them really badly. So like that was it. Like they believed that they were superior to everyone else. They believed that the German people were superior to everyone else. They didn't think that they needed the help of anybody else, and it just backfired on them. And you know, their empire collapsed. You know, Hitler said that the Third Reich would last for 1,000 years. You know, it lasted less than 12 years. Bro, at what point do you think that France and the UK should have put their foot down and said no more to Hitler? Czechoslovakia. Like, what happened with Czechoslovakia? Like, France and Britain should have declared war on Germany after what they did to Czechoslovakia. Like, right then and there. What happens if a Polish resistance member kills a Soviet soldier? What would the Soviets have done? Would they do the same thing like the Nazis to the Polish people? The Soviets, if a Polish resistance member killed a German soldier, the Germans would go and round up like 100 random Polish people and execute them. If the same thing happened where a Polish resistance member killed a Soviet soldier, the Soviet response was a bit different, but it was also very brutal. What the Soviets would do is guilt by association. So if you knew the person who basically killed a Soviet soldier, like if you knew the person, they were your friend, family member, even if you had nothing to do with the killing, but you just knew the person, you were guilty by association, and they would deport you and your entire family to a work camp in Siberia. That is basically what they would do. It's the same thing as, you know, North Korea's collective punishments. Basically, if a family member flees in South Korea, they will punish the entire family and send the entire family to work camps. Can you pick a number between 1 to 3? 2? Thank you, Chaz, for the super chat. When you say Czechoslovakia, what do you mean? Do you mean Hitler in the Sudetenland? Or when Hitler took all of Czechia over? The thing is, France and Britain assured Czechoslovakia that when they gave up the Sudetenland, that they would protect Czechoslovakia, that, you know, Hitler would not stop. That Hitler would stop at that point, but he didn't stop. They could have, but I don't think that Hitler shouldn't have even gotten the Sudetenland. He shouldn't have gotten that. And here's the thing is, just because the majority population in an area is German does not mean that Germany has the right to annex the area. It doesn't mean that. And I mean like, think about it too. Like there were parts of southern Germany. There were parts of southern Germany that were majority Italian. So like there were towns in like southern Germany that were the majority were Italian over Germans. And by that exact same logic, Hitler should have given that territory to Italy, and Mussolini even asked for it. He said this territory is like majority like Italian. Give it to him. Hitler said no, I'm not going to give you anything. So like by that same logic, you see what a hypocrite Hitler is, that he'll say, oh, Sudetenland is majority German, but then an area that is majority Italian won't give Italy. So that is it. It's a power grab. But just because the population is like, you know, majority, you know, German in like one territory does not mean that Germany has a claim to that area. Wait, what's wrong, Tactical? You mean I need to think for a second? What do you mean? Who's more of a creep, the gym teacher from Bully or Lester, and why? The gym teacher in Bully, yeah. Oh yeah, well, in Polish history, the Soviets are seen as villains as well, just like the Germans are. Lester does get a bit creepy at times. Let me actually go. I'm gonna check my moonshine business in a moment here. What's the difference between communism and socialism? Socialism has some market to it, but communism has no market to it. It's just purely government control.
Ah, bonjour. You've been away on some... Allons-y. There are things you
Oh,
can
and
do to lower the price, huh?
person that was asking me about the person that was asking me about
Yes, this will work.
when Britain and
give
France
it
should have
time.
stopped Hitler, there was actually a better time to stop him than Czechoslovakia, because in 1938, by the time Hitler had taken Czechoslovakia, Hitler was actually pretty strong. Do you know what the best time to actually stop him in? The best time to stop him was in 1933. Now, Poland at this time had a leader named Piłsudski, a famous Polish general. He was leader of Poland at the time. And Piłsudski had basically said that Hitler was a threat to world peace. So he called it. Piłsudski died the next year, by the way. So he only lived for one more year after that. But he said that Hitler was a threat to peace in Europe. And that was the first year that Hitler came to power. And what Piłsudski had, he had reached out to the French government. And he told the French government that we, Poland, will invade Germany from the, east. You invade Germany from the west, and we'll take Hitler out, get rid of him right now. France refused. So France refused the Polish offer. This was in 1933, 6 years before the war began. And France basically said, no, we don't want to get involved in a war, and like Hitler's not a threat to anything. Germany's economy is in ruins. So France was saying they're not a threat. And then you look at what happened 6 years later. Like Piłsudski called it. Like he called it. He called exactly what he said, that Germany's a threat, that it's gonna cause a lot of problems, and look at what ended up happening. So, you just think about that. Think about that. If France had actually agreed to that, and, if France and Poland had both invaded Germany, that was like the first year Hitler came to power. The German army was a disaster in that time. It was, they barely had a military. Oh yeah, Germany, Poland and France would have definitely defeated Germany in 1933 together. But then, Germany rearmed, they made their military really strong, and look at what happened. So just think about that. If France had agreed to that, that maybe the world would have been very different, and we could have avoided that, giant global conflict. Japan we still probably would have had a war with Japan. That probably wouldn't have changed anything, because they were already under conquest in Asia, but at least it might have avoided a European conflict. No, the right time to kill Hitler in World War I is you had a British soldier literally face-to-face Hitler, but also refused to kill him because he had survived. The thing about that is that nobody saw that coming. Okay, so here's what the guy, here's what Luke is talking about. In World War I, when Hitler was a German soldier in World War I, Hitler was like dazed and confused from battle. I don't know what was going through his mind, but he was just like zoning out because of the battle. And Hitler was just completely oblivious about what was going on. Hitler stood in the middle of no man's land. So like, where they were all fighting, he didn't move. Like, he did not stand. Maybe he was in shock from battle or something like that, but Hitler just was not moving. And Hitler wasn't even armed. He didn't even have a gun. And a British soldier saw him and aimed his rifle at Hitler. And Hitler just stared at that British soldier. And then the British soldier put his rifle down and decided he's not going to shoot him. And the reason that he didn't shoot him is because he said, I can't shoot an unarmed man. Like, it was like he just stared at him. It was like a German soldier that wasn't armed just staring at him. He said, I can't do that. I can't just kill an unarmed man. And he walked away. And some people, like, say that guy's fault. He should have just shot him then and there. But if he had shot him then and there, that technically would have been a war crime. Because you're shooting an unarmed soldier. Like, somebody just staring at you. He wasn't necessarily surrendering, but it would have just been, and how is the guy supposed to know? Like, how is the guy supposed to know that the guy was going to turn into, like, an evil genocidal dictator, like, 20 years from now? Like, nobody could predict that. Could anybody have predicted that at that time, that one guy that was, like, that he spared, that he would turn into, like, some giant genocidal maniac 20 years from now? If that guy knew about it, he probably would have shot him and killed him there. But, he didn't know. So, there was newspapers that were attacking that guy. Like, that guy was still alive during World War II, and there was, like, newspapers attacking him, saying he's a horrible person, he should have shot and killed Hitler. But the guy didn't know. He was just, like, an unarmed German soldier. He didn't want to kill an unarmed person in the war, so he did not, he didn't know. Like, it wasn't his fault. But that was it. The guy suffered from depression. He suffered from depression later in life, and he suffered from depression, but he had, like, mental problems because of that after, like, the war that was started and everything like that. But, the thing is, though, is that, I cannot imagine carrying that guilt. Like, imagine being that British guy that you decided to spare this one guy in battle. You decide not to kill him. You spared an enemy soldier, and that enemy soldier turns into one of the most brutal dictators in history and kills millions of people and starts, the worst war in human history. Like, I cannot imagine the amount of guilt that somebody would be, living with after that. I cannot imagine that. So that's it. I don't think it's that guy's fault, by the way. I don't think he has any fault in that, because at the time he didn't know, and Hitler was just an unarmed soldier, so it was really not his fault. It was, at the end of the day, do you know whose fault it was at the end of the day? It's Hitler's fault. Because Hitler is the one who decided to, start World War II. Hitler is the one who, killed so many people. Hitler is the one who caused this whole thing to happen. So, Hitler could have, after Hitler had that near-death experience, he could have turned his life around and become a productive member of society, but he instead decided to become a raging ultra-nationalist and had taken over Germany's government and had, started the worst war in human history. So, like, that was, it's not the British soldiers' fault for sparing Hitler. This was, like, 20 years before Hitler came to power, and it was ultimately, it's Hitler who's at fault. He's the one who did everything. He's the one who caused everything. Henry Tandy, yeah, that's him. It reminds me. The thing about this is that the problem with this, what I'll say about this, is that people believe in this butterfly effect too much, and what this butterfly effect is they believe that like one choice leads to another choice, and it leads to another choice, and eventually that causes something bad, and that ultimately is your fault. Because it created like a giant chain reaction that led to all of these different things that are happening. But ultimately you can't look at it like that. Ultimately it's not that person's fault. Like, I'll give you guys a perfect example. There was this case I read about a long time ago. I don't know what state this happened in. Somebody might know the state that it happened in the comments. But there was this gangster who got into a shootout with the police. I don't remember I don't remember why the police were arresting him. The only thing I know, he was a gangster. So the police were after this guy, right? And when the police were after this guy, what happened is, let me invite this guy to posse here. Who is this here? Okay. So, when the police were when the police had cornered this guy that was a gangster, and the guy had a gun on him, and the police told him drop the gun, and the guy taunted the police, he insulted them, and he said hell no, and he was basically bragging about how tough he was. He pulls his gun on the police. The police basically unload on this guy. They unload on this guy like it's like a firing squad. And the guy gets shot numerous times. Numerous times he gets shot. The same guy that was, bragging, acting like a tough guy to the police, that same guy is now begging for help. He's still alive on the floor. He's, like, bleeding out. He can't get up. And a paramedic comes to save his life. He's begging the paramedic, save me, please, I'm dying. I don't want to die. Paramedic stabilizes him. Paramedic helps him get to the hospital, keeps him from bleeding out. The guy ends up going to the hospital. The guy ends up making a full recovery. He ends up surviving. The guy goes to prison. He goes to prison for a number of years. When that guy gets out of prison, after a number of years, you know what that guy does? He takes a gun, he robs and kills this poor girl. He pulled up on this poor girl as she was walking home. He robbed her, and then he shot her in the head. He already had the money, he shot her in the head and killed her. And that same paramedic who saved that gangster's life, that guy felt guilty about that. He felt guilty about that because he saved, like, a horrible person, and he felt like if he didn't save that guy, that girl would still be alive, and that made that paramedic go insane. Like, he went actually insane. Like, it caused him so many mental issues. The guilt of it, he couldn't live with himself. He tried to kill himself. He ended up getting put in an insane asylum because he felt so guilty about that. Now, let me ask you guys, is it really the paramedic's fault for saving the guy? Is it really? No, it's not really his fault, because he's a paramedic. At the end of the day, his job is to save everybody. Even if that person is a horrible person, even if that person is a criminal, his job is to save everyone, regardless of, who they are. You're supposed to, save everyone. If the criminal had bled out then and there, would the girl still be alive? Possibly. Maybe. But at the same time it's not like the paramedic went up and shot the girl himself. That guy did it. That guy spent years in prison. That guy could have turned his life around after having that near-death experience with the police. That guy could have, turned his life around. He could have become a productive member of society, but instead of doing that, he decided to be a deadbeat, decided to be a scumbag, and tried to rob this poor girl, and even when he had the money, that wasn't enough for him, he decided to execute this poor girl and killed her. And so ultimately, it's his fault. But the thing is, people look at this butterfly effect, and they say, oh, if I did this and this differently, this wouldn't have happened, but it's this giant chain reaction of events, like him, surviving that shootout there, and, the paramedic saving the guy's life. It's ultimately not his fault that the guy is, because it was ultimately the guy who made the choice. He made the choice, he decided to do what he did, and now the guy's serving life in prison, and the, paramedic, I don't know if he ever got out of the insane asylum. I don't know if he ever got over that. I don't know what happened to him. But that is what I will say about that. It's like, you think about that, it's nobody's fault except the criminal. The only person at fault here is the criminal, the guy who made that choice. He made the choice, he decided to do it. The paramedic was only doing his job. He's supposed to save everybody. So that's basically what I'm getting at, is that you can't look at this whole butterfly effect and say that, oh, this is causing this and that, and now this is my fault because if I didn't do this wouldn't have happened, blah, 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 this. The only time it is somebody's fault is if it's a direct consequence. But if it's like just some giant chain reaction of events, it is not your fault. So that's what I'll say about that. Well, George Washington was also really against a cult of personality, but there was like a lot of towns were named after him. He had statues built to him. Hey, bro, 1911 or Glock? I like the 1911 more than the Glock. I like the trigger better on the 1911. I think the trigger is better on it. Oh, thank you, Marcus, for the super chat. $20 super chat from Marcus. Thanks, dude. Thank you, man. Thanks, Marcus, for the super chat. Oh, 20 pounds. Yeah, 20 pounds. Thank you, dude. I wouldn't really call it a horse riding simulator, but I don't think Call of Duty will ever create a award this won't. What's your opinion on the Romanovs and what happened to them? Sucks to see people glorify the communist rise in Russia after that brutality they're responsible for.
Ain't I told you to leave? Now get! I need a hand, boys!
I'm gonna get the other guy. The Romanovs were, or I would say Nicholas, who's most at fault. Nicholas was a scumbag. Nicholas was, you know, one of the worst monarchs in history. Incompetent, brutal, stupid. You know, he was, like, he had a lot of things to him. He was just, like, I don't think that, like, Nicholas's family deserved to get, like, you know, executed, especially, like, the kids and stuff like that. And I hate the communists, too. I despise the communists. But, like, Nicholas was not, like, a good man. That's, why did I skip your comment? I didn't skip your comment. What was your question?
I'll find you, so I will.
Okay. Okay, Oh, Bounty Wagon got destroyed?
Hey, I'll find you, so I will.
Wait, what do you mean, Empyrean? Why do I prefer episode 4, over, episode 5? I guess it's just the story of it. It was like, you know, this farmer boy, how he, you know, helps defeat this evil empire and destroys the evil empire's super weapon. I thought episode 4 was the, you know, the best one always. Well, communist countries like North Korea have guilt by association. Why is Belize an English-speaking country? Was it a former British colony, one of the many former Confederate colonies that the rebels set up in Central and South America after the Civil War? I actually don't know really anything about Belize's history, Balkan. I actually don't know much about it.
Come on, damn it.
What is your opinion on Bolivarianism? Well, Bolivarianism, it is basically like, it is a form of South American republicanism. It's like against monarchy, like against aristocratic privileges. What the? Why do I keep dropping him? I'll see you, demigod. Take care, dude. Why do I keep dropping him?
Dumb bastard.
Trying to do some free aim.
Enjoy your life. You got sight, friends.
Okay.
Hey, I'll find you, so I will.
Okay, here we go. Bounty wagon. if I kill him, maybe that'll fix the problem.
You dumb bastard.
No, it didn't. I will, Mr. Hopkins. Chavez is like, you know, Chavez is the worst thing that happened to Venezuela. He took up a country. He took a country that, you know, had a that could have been like an economic giant and just ruined it. I'll see you, Mr. Gibbs. Take care, man. Well, the Ossetian people are a people that live in the Caucasus.
Untie me, or I swear there'll be all kinds of hell to pay.
There's South Ossetia, that's part of, that used to be part of Georgia, and then there's North Ossetia, which is part of Russia.
You dumb bastard.
Yeah, it's creepy, Gunner. Who's a more sociopathic person, Michael Corleone or Tony Soprano?
Hey, same for me.
Maybe Tony, because Tony does have a form of sadism to him. Like, he enjoys watching certain people suffer, like he enjoys watching his sister suffer. Michael Corleone, I don't think he really has any sadism to him, but he's, like, extremely cold. Okay, I'll see you a minute, of Tony Soprano. Take care, dude. My favorite accent is New York accent.
You got Schaefer brains.
What do I think about the US and UK introducing a Kids Online Safety Act? Isn't that only in the UK? I haven't heard about something like that in America. I'll listen to any genre.
Nope, no sir. Ah, shit and fire!
Put him in an open cell and
Michael is like emotionless. I can see your comments, Steve. What's up? Thank you, Phoenix, yeah. Was Artie Bucco Tony's only true friend? Yeah. I think Artie was Tony's only real friend. Well, I have to have the slow mode on, Steve, because a lot of people post. It's easier for me to read a chat. What do you think of the theory that Lil Carmine was secretly a genius? I don't think it really holds much weight. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think it's just, you know, people getting too much into conspiracies with that. I think Carmine was just not as smart as his dad. Hey, Professional, how's it going, mate? I just want to say you're one of my favorite YouTubers to watch. I love the cosplay of the outfits you do for the videos. I hope all is well and wish the best. Peace, mate. Thank you, Learner. Thanks, dude. I'm glad you enjoyed my cosplay. Thanks, man. Michael is a genius like his father, but he had a twisted empathy of Vito. You know, Vito is a very honorable character. Vito is not necessarily a good person, but he was an honorable person. You know, Vito is that type of guy that if you do him a favor, if you help him out with something, he will be there by your side forever. He will help you whenever you need it. Like, that's the type of person that Vito Corleone was. That he would never forget his friends, people who helped him out. But, like, you know, Michael, on the other hand, is just a, really, you know, cold person. You know, just really,
Yeah, that sums it up.
The thing is, though, is that if you look at all of the brothers, all of them, is that here's the thing is, what was, like, each of the brothers had something that was too much of. Like, Sonny Corleone, for example, was too aggressive. Tom Hagen, I would say, was too diplomatic. He always thought that diplomacy could solve everything. He didn't think that sometimes you needed to actually act on a person, like Tom wasn't the type of person that would, like, go to war with somebody. He would always try to resolve it peacefully, but sometimes, you know, you need to deal with something by force. So Tom is too diplomatic. Sonny is too aggressive. Fredo is too charismatic. Like, charismatic to the point where he gets taken advantage of by others. Like, just constantly trying to mingle with people that he ends up getting taken advantage of. But do you guys know what Michael Corleone's problem is? You know, Michael Corleone has too much of. So, Sonny is too aggressive. Fredo is too charismatic. Tom Hagen is too diplomatic. But you know what Michael has too much of?
Sir?
Yeah, his lack of empathy. Michael is too cold. That's the problem with Michael. He is too cold. It's like, he's too little emotions. That's what I would say about Michael. Michael thought that by blocking out his emotions, that would make him, like, the best mob boss possible. That's what Michael thought. But the thing is, sometimes you need to have empathy. Even a mafia boss needs empathy at times. So the thing is, people think that by not having empathy, that you know, that makes you strong. But all it basically does is it turns you into a scumbag. But, like, for example, like Vito, like, if Vito found out about what Fredo did in The Godfather Part 2, I don't think that Vito would have ever even considered killing Fredo. I don't think that would have ever even crossed his mind. What Vito probably would have done is Vito probably would have banned Fredo from the family business. That's probably what he would have done. He probably would have banned him from ever doing business with the family again, but I don't think he would have actually killed him. So, like, that's the thing is, like, that Michael killing Fredo, that was just, like, Michael just, you know, like, basically, it was almost, like, psychopathic in a way, basically, like, Michael killed Fredo. Like, Michael Corleone isn't a psychopath, but he's definitely, like, a sociopath, but it was very psychopathic what he did when he had Fredo killed. Very psychopathic. And what was so psychopathic about it was how he gave Fredo this false sense of hope. He gave Fredo this false sense of hope. He basically told Fredo, I forgive you, it's okay, you know, but then he actually still wanted him dead. Like, that is just so horrible. Like, this, like, Fredo thought that his brother forgave him, and, like, and he was getting in a better mood, and then that happens. That's just, But I will say about this is, I do like Godfather Part 3, even though a lot of people don't like Godfather Part 3. Do you know what my favorite thing about Godfather Part 3 was? My favorite thing about Godfather Part 3 was that suffering. Michael Corleone suffering, like emotionally suffering, like mentally suffering, because I think he deserved that. Like, I didn't feel bad for Michael Corleone at all in The Godfather 3. I felt like he deserved that. I felt he deserved to suffer. And the thing is, the guy who he talked to, I think that's the guy who ends up becoming the Pope when he does his confession with Michael, and Michael admits to killing his brother, and then the guy, the church, the priest, he says to him, your sins are horrible, and you deserve to suffer for it. Like, not a lot of priests would say that, but, like, Michael needed to hear, like, your sins are horrible, and you deserve to suffer for it. And then he said that you may be forgiven, but I don't believe that you will change. That's what he says, and he's right. Is that, he can go to confession, but is Michael Corleone really gonna change? No, he's not. So, I think that priest was just spitting facts right there when he says you deserve to suffer for your sins. Okay. How do you think Sonny would have handled Fredo? Beat him up. Sonny probably would have beat the crap out of Fredo, but he wouldn't have killed him. Oh, and do you know what the, you know what I thought was always the creepiest part of The Godfather 2? You know what I thought was always the most disturbing part of the movie? It actually wasn't when Fredo dies. I don't think that was the creepiest part of the movie. I think the creepiest part of, Godfather 2 is when Michael, like, hugs Fredo, acting like he forgave him, and then he just stares at his hitman from across the room, like Al Neri, and he, like, gives him that sign, that, like, I want him dead. That, I think, was the creepiest moment, and even more creepier than Fredo's death. And the reason that it was so creepy was because if you look at Al Neri was, like, Michael's hitman. Like, Al Neri was a stone-cold killer. Like, he was a cold-blooded hitman. And even he was disturbed by that Michael wanted his brother dead. Like, even for him, that was, like, just too much. Like, Al Neri ended up killing Fredo because, Michael told him to, so he follows Michael's orders, but even for him, like, it was just, like, too much. Like, you see it in Neri's eyes in that scene, that, like, he even was shocked by that. Do you guys think that when Fredo, went on that boat with Al Neri, do you think that Fredo knew that he was gonna die at that point, or do you think he didn't see that coming? I think that he kind of did see it coming at that point.
It is dull out here. Dull and dead.
Yeah, well, that's the job. Don't worry. There'll be something. I'm sure.
What do you think if we had a drama about the inner circle of Hitler? What, you mean like a TV show or something like that? Well, the thing is, we actually did have that already. It's already called Downfall. Oh, I'll see you, Marcus. If you watch the movie Downfall, it's not a TV show, but it's a movie that basically shows about, like, what was going on in Hitler's inner circle in the last few weeks of the war. Just, like, the arguing, the yelling, the, everything was just falling apart for them. Downfall. It's one of the best, like, it's one of the best World War II movies. Downfall. Like, a lot of when that movie came out, I remember a lot of people got mad about that movie because the main character was Hitler in that movie. But the thing is, the movie was not meant to glorify Hitler. The movie was basically to show, like, historically, like, what happened the last few weeks of the war. Like, the movies show that Hitler was a horrible person. Like, it was not a glorifying him in any way. But I remember people got pissed when that movie came out. That scene where the Nazis poisoned their children made me so angry. You're talking about Joseph Goebbels and his wife Magda. Yeah, that happened. They poisoned their kids. That scene when Hitler took off his glasses and started screaming at everyone left, that actually happened. That was actually a real scene. That wasn't just a scene for the movie. That was a real scene that happened. But do you know about the movie Downfall? Downfall actually has a lot of really good deleted scenes. But there's one deleted scene in the there is one deleted scene in the movie which it was a real event that happened, and it was about the last guy left alive in Hitler's bunker. I don't know why they deleted the scene, because I thought the scene was really good, but you can actually watch the scene on YouTube, look up Downfall deleted scenes. But there's the last guy left alive in Hitler's bunker. There was only one guy left alive in Hitler's bunker, and the last guy left alive, he wasn't even really a top Nazi. He was just an engineer. He was just like the guy who would fix the generators and stuff like that. He was like the last guy that was left in Hitler's bunker, and he was the last guy staying in there. He stayed in there for safety from the bombings, but he was like the last guy left after everybody had killed themselves. And there's a scene, there's a deleted scene where you see him, and the Soviet soldiers just come into the, they come into the bunker, and he surrenders. And one of the Soviet soldiers wants to open the door, and he tells them, don't open the door. And the Soviet soldier doesn't listen to him, thinking that he's hiding something in the door. But then when the Soviet soldier opens the door, he sees that the room is just filled with Goebbels' dead children. But that was like, I don't know why they cut that scene out of the movie, because that actually did happen. But that was, but yeah, there was like, imagine that, just one guy left alive in Hitler's bunker, and the last guy left was just an engineer, just a mechanic who just fixes the generator. But, yeah. I think the reason they didn't keep the scene in was because, like, the movie wasn't supposed to focus on him. But I think that it would have made more sense, because it just sees a transition to just a single last guy left, and all he was just an engineer, a mechanic. Who was the children's father? Goebbels, the Nazi Minister of Propaganda. Do you think that Vito wanted Michael to be in the Mafia because he would see him as competent and not soft? Well, Vito never wanted Michael to be in the Mafia. He never did. Vito always wanted Sonny to take over. That's what he wanted, Sonny. But the thing is, Sonny was frustrating Vito, and the reason that Sonny was frustrating Vito was he was frustrating him with two things. He was frustrating him with how aggressive he was, because it was like the complete opposite, where like Vito was rational and fought things through. Sonny was just a hothead. So that made Vito really mad, but he was still trying to school Sonny to be a more, competent mob boss. And the second thing that really pissed Vito off was Sonny cheating on his wife. When Sonny would cheat on his wife, that really made Vito mad. That really made him angry, because Vito Corleone never cheated on his wife. He never did. And so that just made, for Vito, that was just crossing a line, and he did not approve that his son was doing that at all. Like, he really hated that. Thanks for keeping this game alive, Professional. No problem. I enjoy Reddit Online, but it sucks the game was just abandoned. A man that never spends time with his family is not a real man. Yeah, I remember that line too. But the thing is, though, is that don't mistake Vito's like don't mistake Vito's compassion. That Vito isn't a cold person. Vito can be a cold person at times, not as cold as Michael. But here's the thing is, you remember Carlo, when Carlo would abuse Connie, hit her, and stuff like that, and even in Vito Corleone's house. So Carlo would hit Vito's daughter near him, and Vito would actually see that. But Vito did nothing about it. So Vito didn't do anything about his daughter being abused. He didn't even say anything to Carlo. Why didn't Vito do anything about it? You know why Vito never did anything about Carlo? The reason that Vito never did anything about Carlo was because Vito never liked Carlo. He hated Carlo. He despised him. And Vito had warned Connie, and he told her, don't marry Carlo. He's a dirtbag. He's a deadbeat. Don't marry him. And Vito didn't stop her. He told her, if you want to marry him, it's ultimately your choice, but I do not approve. This guy is, trouble. This guy's a bad person. When Connie got married to Carlo, and then Carlo started abusing her and treating her like crap, Vito was using tough love in an extreme way. He was basically telling his daughter, I warned you. I told you that he was a scumbag. I told you he was a dirtbag, and now you have to deal with it. That was basically his response. It was basically him. So that's people think that Vito wasn't a cold person. He can be at times, but that was basically him telling his daughter, he's like, I warned you. I told you that he was a bad person. He didn't listen to me, and now you have to suffer the consequences. That's it. So when you get abused, it is your fault. That was basically his reasoning for not doing anything when his daughter's husband was abusing her. Have I seen The Boy in the Striped Pajamas? I did. It's a really good movie, but it's also one of the most disturbing, World War II movies I've seen. That I will say, the Boy in the Striped Pajamas probably has the most disturbing ending from a World War II movie that I've ever seen. Like, it is probably the most disturbing ending to a World War II film I've ever seen. It's such a brutal and such a horrible, ending, but it makes sense. It is showing the Holocaust and how horrible it was, but it was such a, people in the theaters, when they saw that scene, they just gasped. They were not expecting that scene, because it was the way the movie just abruptly ends like that, that was just such a brutal, such a brutal scene. I hate Connie because she's mad at Michael for killing Carlo, even though he killed Sonny. What I'll say about that is, I think Connie eventually accepted it. She eventually accepted it that, Carlo needed to go. She eventually accepted it. Wow, look at this hand. Look at this. Wow, look at this hand. Do you think Carlo deserved it? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he deserved it. How are you still awake, dude? Oh, I fall asleep at 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. That's when I go to bed. I'm not even tired in the slightest. Oh, don't fold. Come on. Okay, he called. There we go. Is it okay to change your sleep schedule? It depends on, where you're... It depends on where you're, where you're working, what you're doing. Some people, and the thing is, when you think about it, there's nothing wrong with going to sleep in the daytime and waking up at night. Some people don't like it, but it works for some people. There's nothing wrong with people going to sleep at different times. Ultimately, go to sleep whenever you want. There's nothing wrong with it. One of my friends, he's a really big, he's really big at working out. He works out a lot. I wouldn't say he's a bodybuilder, but he does work out a ton. And, he told me that it doesn't matter, when you go to sleep, as long as you have 8 hours of sleep. That's what he told me. There we go, here. And, I will also say, here, I watched this YouTube video recently, and this YouTube video I watched recently, this YouTuber was talking about a study where, scientists were saying that, that some people are born with a, disposition to be, night owls, and some people are born to be, early birds. That like some people are born that way. That like they're born to go to sleep late. Other people are born to go to sleep earlier. And I never really thought about that, but it actually makes sense. I don't know how true that is, because that's just what scientists were saying, but it makes sense when you think about it. That because like some people that are night owls, it's so difficult for them to fall asleep earlier. But some people they can fall asleep like 1, 2, 3 early, but like other people they can't. So that's something I never really thought about. But what apparently what the scientists were saying is they were saying that the reason that some people are born night owls is because it's that if everybody is sleeping, they're vulnerable to predators. That if there's one person that's like, awake at, night, and they sleep in the daytime, they can protect the group from predators. That's at least according to what the scientists said, why some people are born night owls. But that's, I've always been, a person that I cannot fall asleep earlier. I just can't. I always stay up late. Even if I try to fix my sleeping schedule, like, the latest that I can fall asleep at, if I really, really tried, is maybe 11. But I could not fall asleep earlier than that. I just can't. I guess it might change over time too, but your body maybe adjusts to it, Sam. You're going to Demolition Derby. Oh, have fun with that, have fun with that, Brandon. Would you compare Salieri to, would I compare Salieri to, Julius Little? Not really, because Julius at least had some conscience, Salieri had none. I don't think Vito ever tried to act like he was a good person. What did where did most of Vito's money come from in The Godfather? It came from gambling, right? It was he owned underground illegal casinos. What does anybody know the answer to that? Most of Vito's money was from gambling, right? That's where his money came from. Because I know he didn't do drugs. He never got involved in drugs. But what was it? It was most of his money was gambling, right? That's where he got his riches from. I know in the 1920s, he did sell alcohol. He was involved in Prohibition. But I'm talking about, like, when The Godfather 1 starts. Like, Prohibition has already been, gone for more than 10 years. Like, so... the crazy thing about the protection rackets is that the protection rackets are such a huge part of the Godfather games. Like, The Godfather 1 and 2, like, the protection rackets are basically what the games are heavily focused on. But in the movies, you never actually see a single protection racket. I don't think there's a single protection racket in the movies. Is there? I don't think there is. Have you heard the story of that Nazi doctor that saved some of the patients and wasn't arrested? Yes, I know who you're talking about. I forget the guy's name. I forget the guy's name, but how he saved, like, he did save people. What he did was he falsified, like, documents saying that certain patients were dead when they weren't. It was in a camp. It was in a concentration camp. But he was like he lied, he faked, like, documents to, like, save a lot of people. And what happened was, when World War II ended, a lot of the concentration camp prisoners actually testified that he saved their lives. And that he kept them safe, and he didn't get prosecuted. But he falsified, like, documents and stuff like that, like, kept people from being executed. So he did, I forget the guy's name, though. Oh, Hans, Munch, is that what you're saying? Gunnar? Oh, okay. Who do you think was a better villain, Barzini or Roth? Roth, because Roth was very unpredictable.
How's everything?
What about when you were a kid? And your parents, when it comes to going to bed? At what time would you go to bed? Me, it depends. When I was a kid, if I had school, my parents usually let me stay up until 10 or 11 at max. But I would be forced to, I would be forced to, go to bed, after that. But if it was Friday or Saturday, I could stay up to any time I wanted. If I wanted to stay up to 5 a.m. when it was Friday or Saturday, I could do that. If I had a vacation as a kid and I could stay up till like pretty much all night. My parents wouldn't bother me. My dad would basically like my mom wouldn't really say anything to me if I stayed up till like 5 o'clock in the morning when I didn't have school, when I had like the weekend. But my dad, when I woke up, like, and I would wake up at like 1 p.m. on like a Saturday. My dad would say to me when I would wake up, he would say to me, "Is this how you want to spend your weekend, just sleeping in and just wasting time?" That's what my dad would just say a lot of times. But he didn't really stop me. He didn't tell me I have to go to bed on the weekend. He'd let me stay up if I wanted to, but he would just tell me I'm wasting my time. That's what he would tell me a lot of times. Oh, look at this. Okay. I'll see you, Brandon. Oh, this is gonna get interesting right now. Oh, no. Pair of aces. Oh, I thought I would win with the kings. Damn, I wasn't expecting that. Oh, he had 2 different pairs? What? Well, that's a twist right there. How are you? And have you ever played Ready or Not game? I've watched my friend play it. I don't have Ready or Not. I know people said they saw it on my dashboard, but I actually don't have it. It's right here, but I still have to buy it. Because whenever you watch somebody, like my friend was letting me watch it through share screen, when you do like when you watch a game through somebody's share screen, that appears in your dashboard. It's a little weird. Later today, Lucio. Okay, this will be my last hand here. Every time I'm about to buy a car or a plane, I always look at your reviews. Thank you, Wild Gunner Gaming. How do you manage your apartment in Midwest and keep it clean while you are away? There's not really much to keep clean. I have a small apartment. I don't have a lot of furniture. I'll clean my apartment before I leave, and then I'll visit my family for like 2 months, and I come back, and the only thing I really have to deal with is some dust. That's it. But it's I don't leave my apartment really dirty, so it's Okay, let's do max bet, see if anyone goes in here. Counting on them folding. Fold. Oh, no, he's going. Well, I hope I get a jacked out. That's what he went in with? I thought he had... 3 5s, yep. Okay. Oh, yeah, I'm reading chat, too. Okay, there we go. Apartment is not pretty clean if some random water leak is not happening. Oh god, that was I will tell you the amount of stress I had from that. The stress I had from that, it was so bad. Like just it was horrible. Like I don't think I don't think I've had that much stress from a single event in such a long time than in that. For people that don't know what he's talking about, a couple years ago, this idiot flooded my apartment. So like this moron had flooded my apartment a couple years ago. Like actually flooded my apartment. I had so much stress from that. It's like I still have bad memories of that. It's how bad it was. But basically, here's what happened. It was 22. I'm pretty sure it was summer of 22 when it happened. I went to go visit my family, right? So I took a plane, I left the Midwest, I went to go visit my family that live in New York. One day after me visiting my family, it's only one day, I get a text message from my apartment, management. And they tell me that the fire alarm is going off, the fire alarm smoke detector thing is going off in my apartment. It's like, what? Like, what, is there a fire in my apartment or what? And they're like, they don't know. They said that it's just going off in my apartment. And I told them, can you check? I'm away, I just went to visit my family. And the apartment people go in, my apartment is, flooded with water. Like, water all over the place. Here's what happened. I live on the 3rd floor. The guy that lives above me on the 4th floor. What the guy did was, he went to his bathroom, and he turned on the sink, and he turned on the sink all the way where it was like hot water, like boiling water, almost like really the highest hot setting that he could turn on the faucet sink. And what he did was he plugged in the sink. So the water wasn't draining, it was just filling up. I don't know why he did this. I don't know why he did that. But what he did then, he went on a 2-hour Zoom call. He went on a Zoom call for 2 hours. And he forgot that he left the water on and plugged in the sink. And for 2 hours, what it did was it flooded his bathroom. And the water seeped through his floor and went into my apartment. And the hot boiling water went through my ceiling and hit the smoke detector in my unit. And what it did was, it short-circuited the smoke detector. The smoke detector felt that if something like really hot had touched it, and it went off. And the smoke detectors are extremely loud, like very, very loud. Like they are so loud that you will probably hear them for like half a kilometer, possibly even more. That's how loud it is. It is so loud that one smoke detector you will hear through the whole building, all 4 floors. That's how loud it was. And this happened at like 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and all of my neighbors got really angry at me. Like my neighbors were getting pissed at me for it, saying that I woke them up. And like it was not my fault. It was like the idiot who had done that. That crap. So they thought it was my fault that I'd done something stupid in my apartment, but it wasn't my fault. It was the guy that lived above me, but most of my neighbors didn't know that. And here's the thing, the water, it went all over my bed. So like it ruined my bed, it ruined my sheets, it ruined the bed frame. The bed frame, everything was, damaged. And the crazy thing is, where that hot water landed, that is right the moment where I sleep. Exactly where I sleep. And so if I had been there just one day beforehand, because I went to go visit my family, if I'd been there one day sleeping there, like, because I sleep at 9 o'clock in the morning, I wake up at usually like 11, 12, 1 o'clock, that's usually when I wake up, that hot water would have hit me. That would not have been a good experience. But that was, maybe I could have been burned, I don't know how bad that would have been. I don't know how hot the water was, I just know the water was really hot. But, he damaged my apartment. Damaged the apartment, the floor was ruined. The ceiling was ruined. I had to get a new smoke detector. Thankfully, the apartment covered it. The apartment built a new floor because I was renting the unit. They built a new floor. They built a new ceiling for me. They built a new smoke detector. And the guy's insurance company ended up compensating me. He ended up compensating me thousands of dollars. And I had to get a new bed frame, new sheets, everything like that. So I got compensated by the guy's insurance. I actually got compensated a few $100s more than the stuff was worth, so I guess I did make a little bit of money, but it was not worth the hassle. It was not worth the whole thing. I did get a new bed and everything like that. Everything was brand new, but it's the stress of it. The stress of just that, it was not worth it. If I could have just kept everything normally, it would have been that way. But that was, the guy's insurance company, had covered it. But I told the apartment management, I want to talk to this guy. but the apartment management didn't let me talk to him. They told me that it was like that. I'm supposed to go through his insurance company. So like they didn't give me permission to talk to him. So I wasn't able to talk to him. But I wanted the guy to apologize to me. I wanted the guy to come over and apologize to me and explain himself, explain what basically happened. But the apartment management told me I have to go through the insurance, that I could not talk to him. I wasn't gonna like hurt him or anything. It wasn't gonna be like a confrontation. I just wanted like an explanation. That's all I wanted. I wanted an apology and I wanted an explanation. But at least I got compensated. I did get money. I never saw the guy. I never met the guy. The only thing I know is my apartment management. They told me what happened. That he plugged the sink and he went on a 2-hour Zoom call, and that's what happened. And that was one of the most stressful things, because I went on vacation. I went on vacation to visit my family, and imagine that, thinking about my apartment, all my furniture, all my stuff being ruined, everything like that. Just like this, I'm not even there, so I don't even know the damages, and just thinking about that, it was hard for me to sleep, just thinking about my apartment, and like all my stuff in there. And so that was just like and the thing is, after that, I don't keep any valuables in my apartment, and it just, from that specifically, like, there's no valuables that I keep in my apartment, nothing really, and the only thing that's of value in my apartment is my, computer. That's the only thing. It's a gaming computer. That's the only thing of value. I don't keep jewelry, I don't keep money, I don't even keep credit cards. There's nothing worth stealing in my apartment, nothing. The only thing is the computer. The only thing else, maybe somebody could steal my cosplay costumes because they're in my apartment, but I cannot imagine some random guy would steal all my costumes. That would just be weird. So, yeah, but that's it. So, I don't really have anything valuable left in my apartment, but it was a crappy experience. But, the insurance agent that I talked to was like concerned that I was going to sue. He was concerned that I was going to sue, and I had to, when I got the payment from them, I had to sign a document that I wasn't going to sue, and I signed a document. I didn't want to press it any further. There was really no need for me to press it any further. I had gotten all of my stuff back, so like my bed, new bed frame, new mattress, everything. I got compensated for that, and I got a brand new bed, and I got like a few $100s extra. So there was really no reason for me to sue. I didn't want to take it that far, but I had to sign a document that I wasn't going to sue. But that was that was just that. But the only thing I wanted is I wasn't going to be like that guy that was going to sue. I wasn't going to do that. The only thing I just wanted to be compensated for my stuff, and I wanted an apology. That's it. I just wanted the guy to tell me what the hell happened, like an apology. But I never got it. But that was like crap. What about your computer? The computer was in the living room. I don't keep the computer in my bedroom. I kept the computer in my living room. My bedroom was the one that was flooded. So like my living room, it didn't really happen. Is that guy still staying in your building, or did he move out? I have no idea. This happened like about 3 years ago, so I have no idea. I never even met the guy. I don't even know what the guy looks like. The only thing I know is it's the unit right above me. So if I actually went upstairs, I could figure out who it was, but there's no point in doing that. I'm not gonna like harass the guy or something like that. So. When did this happen again? 3 years ago. I'll see you, Phoenix, yeah. Yeah, but that was like a really crappy moment, and it was just not a fun experience. You should have told them that they have no right to forbid you from talking to somebody. Yeah, I guess you're right, but I'm not an aggressive person. I'm not the type of person to really argue, and so that was just it. That's all I wanted. I just wanted to be compensated for my stuff and an apology, but that was it. Bro, in my city, a politician slapped the owner of a gaming zone, allegedly allowing school children to play games during school hours. What's your opinion? What country is this in? And I will say this, that's really not his business. Because if a child wants to come in and play video games, even if it's during school hours, let them. It's if they are, breaking, like, they're committing hooky or whatever, they're not going to school, that's ultimately their problem. It's not the business's problem. If a kid just wants to come in and play some games, it's wrong, I guess. They should be in school, but it's not really the business's problem. It's not like the business selling them drugs or something. It's just like, they're playing some games, whatever, they're spending the money. So, like, it's if they get in trouble, it's ultimately their problem. So, like, a politician just, like, slapping, manager because he let kids play video games during, like, school hours is stupid. Yeah, well, Michael did bring everything on himself in The Godfather. What happened? But what country did this happen in, Ghazala? Oh, near Mumbai, India. He justified his actions by claiming that children were stealing from their homes and bunking schools to visit the gaming zone. But how did he know if the kids are stealing or not? Maybe the kids spent their own money. Like, how does he know? Like, and I will say this to you, I think the kids were justified to play, to skip school and play, at the arcade. I don't know the full story, but I will tell you one thing. I have a friend. I have a good friend of mine that I play video games. I play video games a lot with him, and he lives in India. And he tells me these horror stories in India. I don't know how much, if you're familiar with this, Ghazala, but he tells me these horror stories in India about the education system. And he says how, like, the education is so strict, and kids have to take these ridiculous exams, and their parents are constantly, like, pressuring them. And, like, the kids feel like they don't have a break in India. Like, they're just constantly, like, studying. There's no such thing as fun. There's no such thing as games, relaxation, going to movies with your friends, going out to eat with your friends. So study, that's it. And, like, if you do it have something like that, like, the childhood is meant for you to enjoy it. Childhood are some of the best years of your life. You don't have to worry about, mortgages. You don't have to worry about bills and stuff like that, a job. Your childhood is really the best part of your life when you think about it. So it's there to enjoy. And so, like, because you're saying this happened in India, I don't blame the kids for, like, going to an arcade. They probably were dealing with a lot of BS at school, probably constantly that pressuring to constantly studying. Parents pushing the kids. Kids felt like they never have a break, and they felt like this is the one time we get to, go and do something and actually have fun and enjoy ourselves. So, like, instead of the politician, like, slapping the arcade owner, the politician should be asking himself why kids are actually skipping school and going to the arcade. Why are they exactly? Maybe because they feel like they have no free time to themselves ever. Even when they get out of school, their parents are probably just pushing them to constantly studying, and they don't have, they don't have ever any time to themselves. That's why kids in India, China, South Korea, Taiwan, Japan, that's why they have really high suicide rates. That's why students in those countries have really high suicide rates, because in those countries in Asia, the education system just pushes kids to their breaking point, where they just cannot handle it. Not everything is about test scores. I hear people say all the time, Japan and China have higher test scores than America. Like, I hear people say that. But having higher test scores means absolutely nothing if your kid's mental health has been absolutely destroyed. I'd rather have lower test scores, but, like, the kids in my country have better mental health than, like, just this crazy attitude with the study, no break, no fun, nothing ever. Kids need time to relax. They need to have time to have fun also. It is tiger parenting, that's what it's called. But do you agree with what I said, Ghazala? In a way, he's worse than AJ Soprano. Only those parents who think their kids have got scores great are strict, while other parents don't care what their kids do. Maybe had different experiences. This one of my good friends in India, he's just told me so many horror stories about, like, really strict parents that they, and the school is constantly pushing kids to study, and the kids feel like they're at their breaking point, basically. Bro, I have a Sopranos question. Do you think that Furio would be, do you think that Furio would be a better partner for Carmela than Tony? Also, what do you think about Uncle Junior? I think Furio would have been a way better husband than Tony was, 100%. And if Furio had married Carmela, I could not picture Furio cheating. Like, I could not. He would not be the guy that I could ever imagine cheats. So, like, yeah, just his personality alone, I don't think he would ever do that. Were my parents strict? Yes and no. Here's how my parents raised me. As long as I had good grades in school, and I behaved myself, like I didn't cause drama, I didn't, disobey them, I didn't do stupid crap, and I kept good grades in school, my parents generally let me do whatever I wanted within reason. So, like, if it was, like, the weekend, if it was, like, Friday or Saturday, if I wanted to stay up till, like, 5 and 6 o'clock in the morning, I didn't have school the next day, my parents wouldn't stop me, as long as I kept good grades and didn't misbehave. If I misbehaved or had bad grades, I'd get punished. You know, and I wouldn't be able to stay up and stuff like that. That's basically what my parents were. And Friday night, if I wanted to hang out with my friends even till like 2 o'clock in the morning, my parents had no problem with that. They had no issue with that. My parents knew I wasn't doing drugs or doing anything bad. I just wanted to hang out at my friend's house and playing video games till like 2 o'clock in the morning. My parents were fine with that. So that was it. My parents were, you know, pretty chill for the most part, as long as I was doing everything I was supposed to be doing. As long as I got good grades, I didn't, you know, I didn't act like an idiot, then my parents were, you know, pretty fine with me. I don't know much about that, Adrian. Can I speak Polish? Tak, ja umiem gadać po polsku. Yes, I know how to speak Polish. Okay, but I guess I'll probably be wrapping up the stream here, guys. If anybody wants to ask me any questions before I go, I'll answer your questions before I go here. Sorry, I just have my stuffy nose today. Sorry about that. How old are your parents? My mom is in her 60s, my dad is in his 70s. How many languages do you speak? English and Polish. I speak a little bit of Spanish, but yo estudio español todos los días. Mi español muy malo. Yo quiero ser bueno habla español. The people understood that. So I speak like a little bit of Spanish, but I'm trying to get better with that. Have you played Dying Light 2? No, I never played Dying Light 2. I played Dying Light 1. Thank you, Unknown Notion, the super chat. Not too bad. Well, thank you. What is my dream Europe destination? I've always wanted to visit Switzerland. Switzerland is where I've always wanted to visit. I like the mountains, and so I've always wanted to visit Switzerland. But my vacation destination will probably be a bit different than other people. You know what I always wanted to really do? I always wanted to go to those long-range gun ranges in Switzerland, the ones that are in the mountains. You know, those. I always wanted to go to those. Because Switzerland has a really big, pro-gun friendly culture, and I always really wanted to see that. But I never got the chance to visit. Next game after Mafia, we will be doing Metal Gear Solid 2 and Mafia: The Old Country. My parents are good right now. Thank you, Joni. Uncle Junior was a scumbag. But I guess I'll be going here, guys. Oh, and thoughts on GTA 6 rumors getting delayed again to September 2026? No, it's just, I mean, here's the thing is, guys. The clickbaiters are gonna make, like, 100 videos out of this. Like literally 100 videos. Like, oh, GTA 6 is gonna get delayed. GTA 6 is gonna get delayed. Could it get delayed? Sure. But, you know, nobody knows that for certain until Rockstar themselves announces. So when Rockstar announces it, that we're getting a delay, then believe it. But until then, don't believe it. Don't believe it until then. That's basically what I'll say about that. And here's the thing: is that really worth making a video about? Maybe like one video, maybe okay. But like if somebody makes like 3 videos on a potential GTA 6 delay, that person's a scumbag at that point. That person is just milking views for, like, you know, easy content. It's basically easy content they're milking for. It doesn't require any work. It's talking about some, you know, some supposed leak that the game's gonna get delayed. It's just a way. Here's the thing is, guys, Here's what I'll tell you about this. A lot of GTA YouTubers, I'll tell you the truth about this. A lot of GTA YouTubers, they don't want GTA 6 to come out right away. You know why they don't want GTA 6 to come out right away? Because they can't milk this easy content. When GTA 6 actually comes out, they actually have to make more difficult content. They actually have to make content on the game, like guides and stuff like that. And a lot of these guys, they just make really easy videos right now. They don't put a lot of work into it, just talking about these leaks and these rumors. Like, anybody can really get on their computer and just really make a video talking about the GTA 6 leaks. It is not, it's not a difficult thing to make. It's extremely easy. It doesn't really require any kind of work. And that is it, is they want GTA 6 to last as long as possible before it comes out, just so they can basically ride this GTA 6 hype train and just keep milking views and milking ads and stuff like that. And if you notice, every single GTA 6 video, almost every single one, it's over 8 minutes long. Do you know why it's over 8 minutes long? I'll tell you why as a YouTuber. The reason it's over 8 minutes long is because when you have a video under 8 minutes, you can only put one ad in it. But when the video is over 8 minutes, you can put as many ads as you want in it. So just pay attention to that. When you look at those GTA 6 videos, look at how long they are. If you see them like a little bit, 8 minutes and 5 seconds, they did it on purpose. They did it, I'm telling you, they did it on purpose. You look at these videos, it's always a little bit over 8 minutes. And the reason it's always a little bit over 8 minutes is so that they can put in more ads, just so that they can milk more ad revenue, but at the same time is they don't make it even longer than 8 minutes. They don't make the video like 15 minutes, for example, because 8 minutes, it's the minimum that they have to put it at, and then they just stop after that. They don't put in any more work after that. That's basically it. It's clickbait money glitch. It is when you think about it. It is a money glitch in a way. It's just them wasting time. You know, I really wish that YouTube would start demonetizing these videos. Like, just actually start demonetizing these videos for clickbait. Like, because whenever YouTube demonetizes a video, it's usually for some kind of inappropriate content. But I really wish they would start demonetizing these videos for clickbait. Like, I really wish they would start doing it. You know, sometimes I wonder what these GTA YouTubers, what their daily lives are like what they do in a single day. Like, sometimes I wonder, like, you know, he wakes up, you know, goes to the bathroom, and as he's going to the bathroom, he probably thinks, oh, you know, what clickbait video I'm gonna make today? That's probably what it's like. They're just, like, sitting on the toilet, and they're scrolling through their phone, and they're just looking up, like, leaks. And they're like, oh, I'm gonna make, like, 20 videos out of this leak now. That's probably what it's like. Oh yeah, well, PC version is gonna come out after console, but yeah. Real. Would I play Twisted Metal? Yeah, I actually have Twisted Metal 3 and 4. I recently bought them, but yeah, I do have Twisted Metal 3 here, see? I know some people say that Twisted Metal 3 sucks, but I like Twisted Metal 3. I don't know why some people say that it sucks. Twisted Metal 3 was a huge part of my childhood. When I played this game as a kid, I loved Twisted Metal 3. The only thing I hated about Twisted Metal 3 is that all the endings suck. Like, all the endings are bad. Like, the endings in the game, you can make the argument the endings are terrible, because, like, all the people get screwed over in their wishes. Like, nobody actually gets what they want. But it is generally a fun car combat game. This is a game I've been playing a lot too, Empire of Sin. It's a gangster game set like XCOM style in the 1920s in Chicago, but maybe I'll do a video on that game one day. But I came back to that game because they recently released the DLC. Yeah, Outlaw probably had the best ending in Twisted Metal 3. Left 4 Dead 2 Stream 1, maybe Halloween. But I guess we'll be going here, guys. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Oh, wait, April's comment? What was April's comment? Hang on, let me look. April had a question. What was April's question? April, can you post what your question is again? Because what is it? What's your question, April? Just post it, please, again. Yeah, I'll see you, Real. Oh, I'm just constantly installing them and reinstalling them, Aki, bro. Do you think college is useless? No, I don't necessarily think college is useless, but it's, you don't need college to be successful either. Like, you know, both of them are wrong. The people that say that college is a scam are wrong, and the people who say that, that you need college to be successful, they're also wrong. April, what's your question? I can answer your question before I go. What is it? No, it doesn't, Aki. Did April post this question? Okay, I guess I don't see April's questions anymore. I'll stick around for a minute, but if he doesn't answer, I guess I'll go then. April, can you let me know what your question is? You were trying to get me to read a comment, but you could just post it again. I'll read it. I don't actually remember him that well, Zach. I gotta rewatch that show one day. I know it's about letters from Iwo Jima. It's based on that, Mason. You waiting for April's question just shows how good of a streamer you are. Thank you, Tactical. A new DLC came out for Empire of Sin, yes. They added dance clubs as a new business, and they added this British gangster, this English guy, and his girlfriend as the new playable characters. It's kind of weird. It's like a boss. It's like two characters in the new one, because it's like him and his girlfriend. You can play as both of them. But Empire of Sin finally released DLC 2 after 5 years. You guys are gonna say what the F when I tell you this, but this game here, let me just show you guys before I go. This game here, Empire of Sin, this game came out in 2020, right? And they released a season pass for this game in 2020. I bought the season pass in 2020, so I bought the season pass 5 years ago. The season pass promises 2 DLC expansions. They added one DLC expansion. They added this this one gangster, Max Zelnick, I think his name is, and the loan sharking business. They added that, and they promised DLC 2. But what happened was not enough people bought the game, so like the game sales failed expectations. And what happened was because of that, they never released DLC 2. They felt that they didn't have enough sales, but they were still selling a season pass. So they were selling a season pass, and you could still buy the season pass. For 5 years, you could buy the season pass, and the season pass says it'll have 2 expansions, but there's only 1 expansion. And after 5 years, they finally released DLC expansion 2. So imagine buying the season pass in 2020 and then finally getting DLC 2 in 2025. The only reason they probably released DLC 2 was so that they wouldn't get sued. That's probably the reason. But that's basically it. And the new DLC is actually decent, by the way. The new DLC isn't bad. But it shouldn't have taken them 5 years to make a single DLC. How fun is it? Still, it depends. If you like XCOM, you'll like this game, because this game is XCOM of gangsters, but I like the business part of this game, like the making deals with other mafia, selling alcohol, upgrading your businesses. I like that, like taking over Chicago, stuff like that. Like, the really cool thing about Empire of Sin is that in Empire of Sin, you can win the game without killing anybody. You can beat the whole game without ever killing a single person. So you can beat the game taking over Chicago just if you're good at business. If you just do strictly business, you can run all the other gangsters out of business. But sometimes they might declare war on you. So that's the thing is, there's actually a trophy in the game. It's a gold trophy, and the trophy is you have to beat the entire game with only 1 gangster. You cannot hire any gangsters. You cannot hire any muscle. You have to beat the entire game just a boss alone. And that's like a playthrough where you just got to do just business. I actually got that trophy. It was a very hard trophy, but beating the entire game without killing anybody is actually pretty difficult. But it was worth the challenge. Yeah, April, I remember it. The guy who got blown up on the plane. That was it. That and the Wagner guy. That was like, that was like, what, 2 years ago now at this point? watch some gameplay on it first, Johnny. It's not for everybody. Oh, I watched Flags of Our Fathers a long time ago. Okay, well, I guess I'll be going here, I guess I'll be going here, guys, then, but, that was your question, April? But I guess I'll be going, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you guys for hanging out with me, for spending time with me. Always, you guys always put me in a good mood, and you help me out tremendously. Thank you for coming by my stream and watching it and listening to me talk. If you enjoyed the stream, drop a like. It helps my channel out, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone, and have a wonderful day, guys.